Hey guys, what's up? It's Sydney and I'm back for my final episode of the season 1 of Haunted Locations. But before we get into the video, I did want to say thank you to the people that took advantage of my sale that I was having on my shop. And that was a 30% off discount for crystals and stuff like this. So if you like things of this nature, I do have a shop on Etsy. It's Perfect Poison Shop. All one word if you go to search for it. And if you want to follow me on Instagram or social media, you can do that. And it's at Sydney's Poisonous. And the jewelry shop is at Perfect Poison Shop. And my YouTube channel on social media is going to be Sydney's Poisonous YouTube. So you can go ahead and give me a follow on those. And yeah, let's get into the video. By the way, I'm drinking Starbucks in this video. I'm sorry, but I need a little bit of energy. This is not a plug for Starbucks. I'm just a basic bitch who likes Starbucks. So this week we're going to be talking about the infamous Queen Mary cruise ship. So as many of you probably know, this ship is actually one of the most haunted locations on the entire planet. Located and permanently docked in Long Beach, California, this extravagant ship is actually now a hotel. This ship is known to be chock full of supernatural and spiritual activity, and many people stay here for that exact reason. But before we get into the hauntings, let's actually get into some of the history about the Queen Mary. So the Queen Mary was built in the 1930s and was originally built as a luxury cruise ship. So this beautiful cruise ship was actually equipped with a ballroom, 2 swimming pools, 5 dining rooms, 6 cocktail bars, and 346 luxury rooms. So the Queen Mary was originally built to hold 2,620 passengers as well as 1,200 crew members. This ship actually had 19 decks and was considered one of the biggest ships of its time. It's actually extensive in comparison to the Titanic. A lot of people say that it's like double the size, but I'm actually going to put the stats of the Titanic and then the stats of the Queen Mary on the screen so that way you guys can see the difference in the two. It's actually quite crazy how much bigger the Queen Mary is to the Titanic. I don't know about 2 sizes bigger, but it is very, very big. Considering its length, beam, or width, height, and total gross tonnage, it is considered to be extensive in comparison to the Titanic. And if you were to actually turn the ship vertically, then it would actually be taller than the Eiffel Tower. So like I said, this ship was considered to be very high class and prestigious at the time, but it unfortunately did not stay that way for long. So World War II started in 1939, and due to the Queen Mary's size and speed as a vessel, it was actually drafted into the war, and it was used as a warship for soldiers. Not only was it a warship for soldiers, but it was actually a makeshift prison for enemies of the opposing side. So as a result for it being used in World War II and the fact that it had the speed capacity that it did with its size, it was actually painted gray for the war specifically, and it actually earned the nickname the Gray Ghost. So as I mentioned before, it was actually meant to hold 2,620 passengers and 1,200 crew members, which would actually bring the total up to 3,820 people that were supposed to occupy this ship as a luxury ship. But during this time, however, the troops that they had on the vessel consisted of 8,400 people, and the crew members at the time sat at about 905. So this would actually bring the total up to 9,305 passengers on the ship at the time that it was being used during World War II, when it was originally meant for like 3,800 people. So you can only imagine how tight quartered these people were and how uncomfortable that they were. Not only were they in a fucking war, but they had to be on a ship that was only meant for less than half of the people that they already had on the ship. And on May 11th, to May 16th in 1942. It actually broke a world record of carrying 10,000 passengers on the vessel at one time. At the time, it had 9,880 troops and 875 crew members. So you can only imagine how uncomfortable these people were. Like all things do, the war eventually came to an end, and the Grey Ghost was actually reinstated into the Queen Mary status in 1947. So it was eventually purchased in 1965 by the city of Long Beach, California, and it has been permanently docked ever since. So now my favorite part, let's get into the ghosts and the legends and stories of the Queen Mary. So the first one that we're going to talk about, and this is probably the most famous and most tragic death, and most deaths that actually occurred at one time, which is kind of crazy, but it is the sinking of the HMS Curacao ship. So this ship was actually originally used to guide the Grey Ghost during the World War II, and what they used it for was basically a distraction for the enemy U-boats and stuff, to kind of confuse them as to what was going on, because what the ship actually did was zigzag in front of the Queen Mary. But they obviously didn't account for the speed of the Queen Mary, because what ended up happening is the Queen Mary caught up to the Curacao boat, which was zigzagging back and forth, and struck it. And they say that the point of impact is actually one of the more haunted places on the ship. Not the most haunted, but very, very close. So this actually happened in October of 1942. I believe it was the 2nd of October in 1942, and it was really, really tragic, because when they actually made the impact, they were not able to go back for these people that were basically dying in the water underneath them, because it would risk everyone else's life on the Grey Ghost at the time. So they kind of just left them to die. And I understand why, because they would have been putting themselves in a vulnerable state if they were to have tried to save these people. They did actually contact the British Emergency Services when it happened, but unfortunately they got there too late, and out of the hundreds of people that were on the Curacao, only 99 of them actually survived, which is really, really sad. A lot of the soldiers that were actually on the Grey Ghost at the time reported hearing the people that were in the water and trapped. They heard their bodies getting sucked up into the propeller of the Grey Ghost at the time, and all of their bones breaking. So the fact that you could hear bones breaking in a propeller underneath you is so beyond creepy, really gross and sad all at the same time. So it's just it's one of the more tragic events in history, I would say. So where the ship actually made contact with the Curacao, like I said, is considered to be very haunted. So a lot of people hear banging noises when they're down there. It's the propeller room or something in the bottom of the ship, bottom right, I believe, of the ship. So yeah, it is said to be very, very active. People hear banging noises. They actually see apparitions in front of them, and they often hear screams of sorrow also when they're down in that room. So it is actually really sad and tragic, but really creepy. So in 2017, an employee reported actually being alone on the ship. He was working on the ship, and he was actually alone on one part of the Queen Mary, and the other people that were working with him were on the opposite side of the boat. So he thought, wouldn't it be kind of odd if I were to knock and someone responded? And he did that, and someone responded. So he said that it could have been his mind playing tricks on him, or it could have been a spirit. But with all the activity in this ship, I would say my money's on a spirit. So as I mentioned before, there were 2 swimming pools on this ship, and it is reported that between 1930 and 1960, 2 women actually drowned in the swimming pool on the Queen Mary. So the time period is assumed by their attire and what they have been seen wearing as apparitions. One of them is said to be in like 1930s attire, and then the other one is said to be in like 1960s attire. And one medium said that the woman from the 1960s name was Jackie, but I could not like verify that. But I just thought I would mention it because a lot of people have reported seeing these women around the swimming pools. And a lot of the time coming from the pool going into the locker room, they see like wet footprints and no one's been in the pool. There are also reports of a young girl and a young boy around the swimming pools as well. And the story about the girl, I couldn't find much on her, but it just said that she fell overboard, or she fell into the pool and drowned. And the young boy has actually been reported to be seen by the swimming pool as well, but it is said that he actually fell overboard, so he has been seen walking along the deck where he fell as well. So another report would be the isolation room. And this is actually during World War II, where they kept the makeshift prison and where they also kept soldiers who had like terminally ill diseases and like maybe contagious diseases. So this location is said to be chock full of paranormal activity as well. Coffee break, hold on. So the next report is actually about John Pedder. It's P-E-D-D-E-R. You guys know I suck at pronouncing names, so I'm not even really gonna try. It's P-E-D-D-E-R. It's Pedder. I'm gonna call him Pedder. So John Pedder actually haunts the engine room due to an accident that happened during an emergency drill. He was trying to make it through one of the doors, and it actually crushed him because he was trying to make it through the doors during a drill, and it's an automatic door. And ironically, it was door number 13 that he got crushed under, which I thought was kind of odd. It has said to make people feel very, very uncomfortable when standing in the doorway. A lot of the time people hear bangs on the inside of the ship exactly under the doorway. And a lot of people have actually reported seeing his apparition walking down the hallway, and they reported it being so real that they thought it was a real crew member. And due to the door crushing him, his body was actually cut in half. So a lot of people had the nickname for him Half Latch Harry, which I think is kind of fucked up in a way. But, you know, he's dead. So can't really stick up for himself unless you're there and he haunts you, I guess. So like I said, they reported hearing the bangs, seeing his full body apparition, and they also report being followed, which is kind of a scary feeling when you're in a fucking ship. But I'm just afraid of water because I can't swim. That's probably what would freak me out the most, is just being on the ship in general. Even though it's docked, I would still be scared. I'm not gonna lie. So another report of the Queen Mary is actually Dana's ghost. And Dana was actually the wife of one of the guests that stayed on the ship in room B474. The man actually strangled Dana, his wife, and murdered his 2 children in that room as well. Then he actually shot himself after doing all of these terrible things, which, if you're gonna do those kinds of things, then you deserve to die anyway. Usually I'm like really respectful of like dead people and whatever, but if you do some horrible shit like this, I don't care if you're dead, I'm gonna talk shit because it's fucked up and everybody should be treated the same, even ghosts. So I would tell you, you're a fucked up person. You're dead person, whatever. But anyway, so Dana does haunt the Queen Mary, especially in that room B474. It is said to have a lot of paranormal activity due to the events that took place there. So another report on the Queen Mary is actually the Lady in White. So the Lady in White is actually said to hang out in where the first class lounge used to be on the Queen Mary when it was originally first a luxury ship, before it ever became the Grey Ghost. They say that she's actually from the 1930s and she's a very young, attractive, beautiful woman. And she's actually usually seen dancing or walking through the common areas. And she actually disappears once she walks far enough and gets to the elevator. She hits the elevator and just kind of vanishes. But unfortunately, her identity is unknown. So if you do have any clues on who the Lady in White is on the Queen Mary, please, please leave a comment down below, as I'm sure we would all love to know. And the last and final report is actually one of the more terrifying places I think that I've ever looked into ever. And it is room B340. And if you know anything about the fucking Queen Mary, you know about this room. This room is actually not even listed as a room on the Queen Mary because there's so much activity that a lot of people don't actually end up staying there because of how much activity is in the room. So it's actually unmarked in the ship. So within this report, there's 4 other reports. So the first one is that a man shot himself in this room. The second is that a woman hung herself in this room. The third is a staff member was allegedly, I can't say that word, allegedly. Oh, I did. I got it. But a staff member was allegedly murdered in this room. And the fourth report in this room is that there was a little girl standing in the room, and a crew member actually was walking by, and for some reason the door was open, and he saw this little girl with like open arms, like going like this, like coming in for a hug. I would shit my pants. So this room is going to be the most haunted location on this ship, and a lot of people that have stayed there, and you can actually YouTube it because there's a shit ton of videos of people staying there, but a lot of people actually run out of the room without their stuff. They're like, fuck my things. You can have them, burn them, whatever, keep them. I don't want them anymore. I'm not staying there. Keep the money. It's fine. I'm not fucking staying in this room. Crew members actually refuse to go in there as well. So, like, all of them. They actually only have this room open, I think, for about like 3 months out of the year. So it's actually very rare to get to stay in this room anyway. Because originally it was gutted in the 80s, and then they reopened it, but they keep shutting it down because of everything that keeps happening there. But if you do get a chance to stay in the room actually comes equipped with a Ouija board, which is very interesting, tarot cards, a crystal ball, and it comes with a candle as well. So they're basically like, hey, here's all the shit you need to freak yourself out and then not stay here past like 4 o'clock in the morning. So the paranormal activity that has actually been reported to happen in this room have been beds shaking, the sink turning on and on by itself, lights turning on and on by themselves, the closet door opening and shutting by itself. And some people feel so uncomfortable in this room and actually have reported that it is a demonic being that lives in this room, which scares me the most because in the videos that I saw, a few of them, it was very, very intense. In a couple of the videos, I even heard like some things and saw some things in the video that I don't even think like the people that shot the video caught, because I heard like growls and stuff like that, and it was just so weird. And like I got the chills even watching these videos on YouTube, so I can't even imagine staying in the room. I would do it for the story, but like I'm not trying to die, okay? I mean, if you guys remember the brewery video that I did when I was talking about Toby, like I think that is a demonic being, and this one actually really scares me because a lot of people have reported feeling like their body has been taken over, and that freaks me out. Like, I'll ghost hunt and shit, but don't go inside me. Don't go inside my body. Like, I will freak out, or like someone's gonna have to kill me or something, because like I don't want to live like that. I don't want to live possessed. But I would totally go here and stay here just for the story. That would be a really, really cool experience. I think it would be terrifying, but I would definitely go. I would go like and even just stay in a different room, even if it wasn't B340. I would probably just find it and kind of like take pictures around it and see if I could catch anything, because a lot of the rooms have said to have paranormal activity anyway, so you don't necessarily have to stay in B340 to see something paranormal or to feel anything paranormal. But I do recommend that you guys go watch some of the actual experiences that people have had in B340, because it is fucking insane. But I mean, I would roll the dice. I would stay in this room. Like, why not? Let's bring a spirit box and we'll talk to some shit. It scares me a lot less than Toby, so I don't know. And I don't even like talking about Toby because I just said his name like 3 times. Is it like Bloody Mary? Oh, by the way, in the bathroom of B340 on the wall, there are instructions on how to call Bloody Mary. They have fucking instructions. They're like, here's the Ouija board, here's the candle, here's the tarot cards, the crystal ball, and then contact Bloody Mary. Let's do that. That's a good idea. Yeah. And I've seen some YouTubers do it, and it's pretty much fucking crazy. If I were to stay in that room, B340, I wouldn't be doing the Bloody Mary thing. I'd probably fuck with the other stuff, like the Ouija board and stuff, but that stuff is kind of like normal to me. So like I would just do that, you know, like I'm good on calling Bloody Mary. I'm totally good on all of that. She can stay wherever the fuck she wants to stay, because I'm not doing it. But yeah, like I said, totally want to go here. This one's on my list, even if I don't stay in that room, because I think it would be really cool. But like I said, I'd probably be more scared of just being on water because I can't fucking swim. So, and don't make fun of me for not being able to swim, because there's a backstory to that too, which I might tell y'all one day, but it's not gonna be today. So yeah, Queen Mary is definitely gonna be on my list because there's just something about the Queen Mary. Thank you guys so much for watching my last video of the Haunted Locations Season 1. And stay tuned next Wednesday. I'm going to be putting out my new series, which I think you guys are going to like it. So stay tuned. It's like about mysteries and stuff like that. So if you like mysteries, then you'll like it. So stay tuned for that. And I will see you guys next Wednesday. Bye.